with this afternoon start.
Boy, Cone has been absolutely brilliant this year. Henderson caught looking. First strikeout for David Cone. Good way to start.
Great.
Swing and a miss. Neal goes down. Second strikeout for David Cone. 1-2 pitch got him looking. 4 strikeouts already for Bobby Witt.
Double was off the center field fence. And he's down on strikes. And Witt has been perfect throughout. Bunts down, and it's a good one. He's got a chance to beat it out. It's a foot race with Witt. And safe at first base.
And Witt very well aware that he had the no-hitter going.
In time. Ball game over. World Series over.
So it'll be Bobby Witt taking on the Royals here today, and Vince Coleman will lead off for KC. He is 7 for his last 16. That's a .438 average, and he has hit safely in 8 of his last 10 games, hitting .350 over that stretch. Trying to bunt his way aboard. Bunts through, strike one. Our home plate umpire this afternoon is Ted Hendry. At first base, Gary Cedarstrom. Drew Coble is at second, and Chuck Merriweather is at third. Glad you could join us here this afternoon on 62 Sports and the Royals Television Network. Fastball fouled straight back, and it's 0-2 on Coleman. One of the things Coleman has been doing a better job of late is getting on base by the free pass, the base on balls. That was something he did not do a lot earlier. And as we mentioned, a couple of walks already in this series. There's a foul ball. And so far, Coleman having trouble catching up with the fastball of Bobby Witt.
I think that has been the pattern for the work against Coleman so far this year. Has been start him off with hard stuff, try to crowd him inside, and then later on in the count try to go breaking stuff down and away.
A radar gun has Witt clocked at 90 miles per hour right now.
Velocity has never been a problem for him.
Control has. There's a breaking ball on the ground. Troy Neal, who just came off the DL today, he has it and steps on the bag, out number 1. So Coleman is retired, and that'll bring up Brian McRae. McRae had really been scuffling coming into this series. He was mired in a 3 for 35 batting slump. But yesterday he went 2 for 5 with a couple of runs scored and 2 RBIs. So maybe Brian is ready to turn the corner again. It has been a streaky year for Brian McRae. He has seen both the up and the down sides of those hitting streaks. Fouls this one off. Strike one to McRae. Saw McRae's numbers, now hitting .295. He has been over .300 much of the year. 2 for 9 in this series. And against Bobby Witt, he is a .278 lifetime hitter. In there for a strike. And Witt, like he did on Coleman, gets ahead of McRae 0-2.
That is an area that he really improved last year. He cut his career walks from better than 6 per 9 innings to just under 4 per 9 innings. And Dave Duncan has done an outstanding job with Bobby Witt trying to get him back on home plate. If he throws strikes, he's going to be tough here today.
One of the problems for Witt this year, Split, has been the big inning. He has allowed 65 runs this year, and almost half of those, 32, have come in just 8 different innings.
How many times have we seen the big inning, not only with this ball club, but all around the league?
A little looper into shallow left field. On comes Henderson to make the grab. So Rickey Henderson back in the lineup after a little bit of controversy. Henderson and his manager have been squabbling the last couple of days. Rickey said, I'll decide when I go on the DL or if I go on the DL. And La Russa saying, no, it's our decision as the club. Henderson has been bothered by some back spasms and back in the lineup here today. We had to wait a long time before we got the A's lineup. The determination by Henderson and La Russa whether or not he would play. A little bit low. Ball 1 to Wally Joyner, who's hitting .311, and Wally's had a great series. 3 for 7 in this series with a couple of runs scored and 3 RBIs. On the ground, Bordick's got it. And the Royals are retired in order. Rickey Henderson will lead off against David Cone. Henderson drawing a mixed reaction as he is announced into the game today. Henderson, as we have mentioned, has been squabbling with his manager, and the first pitch from Cone is over for a strike. Henderson coming off a hot road trip. He hit .394 with 3 doubles, 10 walks, and 13 runs scored on the road trip that saw the A's go 8-2, including winning 6 straight before the Royals got to town. Just inside, he moves Henderson off the plate, and it's 2-1. It was a classic case, wasn't it, with Henderson and La Russa of who is wagging this dog? Is it Henderson or is it La Russa? And I think Tony made it pretty clear to his left fielder that he is in charge. Over for a strike at the knees, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Dave, that might be a situation where status of contract comes into play. That man right there, Tony La Russa, is in the final year of his contract, and there are some rumors that he might be headed for Chicago, a place where he has formerly managed. And Rickey Henderson at the start of the season signed a 2-year deal.
La Russa pretty much has been open about the fact that most likely he will not be back with the A's. Henderson caught looking. First strikeout for David Cone. Good way to start.
Great way to start, because this might be the toughest strike zone in the American League. Rickey Henderson does not like the call. There's not a lot of room in this strike zone from top to bottom. But Cone comes out throwing hard and throwing strikes.
Look at that, right above the knees on the inside part of the plate. So Stan Javier next to face David Cone. Javier 2 for 9 in the series, hitting .293. Breaking ball a little bit low, ball 1. Javier has started 5 of the last 10 in left field because of Henderson's back problems. On the ground foul. I was asking David Cone yesterday how he would prepare. What would his day be like for a start? He said, well, obviously it differs whether it's a day game or a night game. He said really he likes to pitch more on day games because he doesn't go through the anxiety of sitting in the hotel room all afternoon worrying about his start. He said, I really don't try to mentally prepare for the game until I'm in the bullpen warming up. At that point, he forms a game plan based on what's working for him in the bullpen that day. Just inside, and it's 2-1. How'd you go about your starts?
I enjoyed the night games. I really did. I just thought I had an advantage in the evening. It was usually a little bit more comfortable, especially towns like Kansas City, which we've had the hot weather over the last few weeks. So it was a little bit more comfortable in the evenings. You just get in a pattern where you play more night games than you do the day games, and the day games always felt like I was rushed.
Mentally preparing for a game, did you wait like Cone did until later on in the day, try not to think about it all day long?
I tried to plan my ball game out for the 2 days in advance. If I had a chance to see a ball club, I wanted to see what pitches guys were handling, what pitches they looked bad on against other Royals pitchers, and try to develop a game plan over 2 or 3 days in advance.
That's what Cone said too. He said a lot of times, especially in this particular series where he was able to see the A's for a couple of days, said it really helps him. He'll formulate all the information, put it in the back of his head, and then try to forget about it until just before he goes. That one just fair inside the line. Joyner takes a second look at the line. Jose picks it up in right field, and Javier is on with a double.
The other thing you can do is, if you're pitching that first game of the series, is check the box scores as you come in. And one of the things you would notice in the box score is that Stan Javier continues to swing a good bat for this ball club. He has 23 multiple hit games already this season. He was off to a hot start, and he's been able to hold his batting average throughout.
So Javier scoots one just inside the line and gets the double, and that'll bring up Brent Gates with 1 out. Gates hitting .298 now. He is under .300 for the first time since the middle of May. He is just 1 for his last 18 and 1 for 8 in this series. One of the things I found interesting, Split, was Coney was saying that he really doesn't work on a game plan until he sees what's working for him on that day, because he said you can look at all the scouting reports and say, well, this guy's a fastball hitter, this guy likes to hit ahead in the count. This guy does this, this guy does that, but it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to him until he knows what he's got working on that day. So I really try to pitch more to my strengths than their weaknesses.
Well, Cone, a veteran player, is very consistent with his stuff. He's got a good idea what he's going to go out there with on most occasions, but like everybody else who plays this game, you've got to be ready to adjust. We talk about hitters adjusting. Pitchers also have to adjust, and if you've got something really working for you, you want to go with it. And that pitch might change throughout the ball game. It might be the fastball early on here this afternoon for David Cone, but it might be his slider in the last 3 innings.
In David's last start, he was tagged with a 5-1 loss to Dave Fleming and the Mariners. He went 7 innings, but he gave up back-to-back home runs from Edgar Martinez, a 3-run blast, and Ken Griffey Jr. his 30th home run of the year. That came in the 3rd inning. Before that, David came up with his 10th win of the year, a 7-2 win at Texas. Going for number 11, trying to keep pace with Jimmy Key here this afternoon. The 2-1 pitch to Gates. A little number up the middle. Gagne flags it down. They're going to have to hold Javier at third. So Gagne makes a nice play just to knock that one down and keep Stan Javier at third base. That'll be an infield single for Brent Gates.
Plays like this don't show up in the scorecard in the box score the next day, but if the Royals could get a ground ball here and get out of this inning, that could be a big play in the contest.
And now Ruben Sierra, the batter. Sierra very dangerous, but so far in this series, Royals pitchers have done an excellent job. Sierra 0 for 7 in this series, including 4 strikeouts.
Strikeouts really piling up on Ruben Sierra, and it looks like he's swung at a lot of pitches out of the strike zone so far in this series. Now, Cone might not be able to go after him that way with a couple men on base. He may be forced to throw a few more strikes.
Sierra, though, very dangerous with runners in scoring position, and Cone's going to try to keep Gates close to try to keep the double play in order. Javier is on at third. Sierra has 76 RBIs against the Royals. That's the most he has against any other club. And with runners in scoring position, Ruben hitting .347. He has 16 RBIs in his last 10 games. And many of those have either tied the game for the A's or given them the lead. And 5 of those RBIs have come in the 9th inning. We're just in the first here from Oakland. Settle in here for an afternoon of baseball on 62 Sports and the Royals TV network.
David Cone paying a lot of attention to the base runner at first base. Brent Gates has no stolen bases so far this year, and you might figure the A's would leave him at first base. The left-handed hitter in the box. He's got the entire right side of that infield to shoot for.
On the ground, slowly hit. Going to be a tough 2, and they'll only get 1. The only play for Gagne was to lean at second. Javier scores on the play, and the A's take a 1-0 lead. The Royals pitchers have done a great job on Baroa. He is 0 for 6 in the series, and he looks at a breaking ball for a strike. Baroa hitting .314. Baroa, much better hitter on the road. He is hitting just .272 here at the Coliseum, and he is hitting .350 on the road. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs to the A's. Time called by Baroa at the plate. Sidearm. Baroa waves at it and hits it foul. David Cone really likes to come 3/4 on the right-handed batters when he gets 2 strikes on him.
He picks his spots. He goes against certain hitters that he feels might not be able to hang in against that pitch, and it takes some courage to hang in there. Cone has great velocity and a sharp breaking ball. He goes down to that low 3/4 delivery. It's not something you see very often, but it's in a position where he could use a strikeout.
Gets a little bit scary, doesn't it?
You got to really want to hit.
Yeah. Baroa's been quite a story, hasn't he, for the A's split? I mean, this was a guy that has floundered around in the minor leagues. Last year, played just 14 games with the Marlins, hit just .118. All of a sudden, he signs on with the A's, and man, he's hitting well over .300 all year. into right field. He fought off that high fastball. There goes Sierra to third. Third hit of the inning for the A's.
Well, Dave, we just saw what he does best, and that is swing the bat. He is a prototype DH player. His lack of a position and his inability to handle a breaking ball has been what's primarily kept him out of the big leagues over the years. But you see him fighting off a high fastball here, and he belongs in the American League. He belongs in a situation where they can use him as a DH.
That was really a setup pitch for Cone, wasn't it? He was going with the high fastball, and Baroa just reached out and slapped it into right field. And now Troy Neal. We'll see how sharp Neal is. He's just coming off the DL today. Troy activated after missing 18 games. He had a non-displaced fracture of the right hand below the index finger. Breaking ball and a beauty for a strike, and it's 1-1. Neal was hit by a pitch at Toronto on the 1st of June. He's been out since then. Back in the lineup here today with runners at first and third and 2 outs. Fouled off, and Cone gets ahead of Troy Neal, 1-2.
Dave, you were mentioning just coming off the disabled list is Troy Neal, hit on the right hand by that pitch in Toronto. You see a little bit of a support there for that lower hand on his bat.
A 1-2 pitch up high, ball 2. Jeff Schaefer was optioned to Tacoma, the A's AAA club, with Neal joining the A's in their lineup. After today, the Royals head for Minnesota, 4-game series at the Metrodome. We'll have all 4 of those games right here on 62 Sports and the Royals TV network. Swing and a miss. Second strikeout for David Cone. First home run for Bob Hamlin since the 25th of May, and he hit it well.
Pitchers that have given Hamlin troubles recently have been guys that have been able to change speeds. That wasn't the case here last night against Todd Van Poppel, a hard thrower, and that was a good matchup for Bob Hamlin.
Let's see how he matches up with Bobby Witt, who has given up 19 home runs. Big breaking ball from Witt, and early on it looks like Witt has the breaking ball working. The Hammer 1 for 6 in the series. That 1 home run, a 2-run homer. The Hammer against Witt this year is 3 for 6, but he chases a fastball upstairs, and it's 0-2.
Bobby Witt likes to work fastball upstairs. He's a fly ball pitcher, and then downstairs with the breaking ball or a straight changeup, even a fork ball occasionally, although he's gotten away from the fork ball a little bit over the last year and gone more to the straight change. Just outside, 1-2. Well, the Hammer now split with 11 home runs. The Royals rookie record for home runs in a year. Bo Jackson had 22 in '87. The Hammer's got a very good chance of breaking that record. That's providing the baseball players do not go on strike, and if they do, that strike is not very long. Inside now, the count full. So the Hammer coming all the way back from 1-2. You know what's unfortunate with all the players having these great years, Junior and Frank Thomas and Cone, the pitchers, Jimmy Key, the Hammer having a good year. It's a shame that we have to put an asterisk beside all of this and say, well, if the players don't go on strike and if they can reach a settlement. And I hate to put it all on the players because it's really not all the players' fault. The owners, after all, took 19 months to come up with a proposal for the players to look at. You know, you could say, well, the owners should have come up with a proposal maybe before that. But it is a shame for us fans of this game to have to put an asterisk to all this and say, well, if we don't have a work stoppage, if we have a settlement, then these guys can continue with these great years they're having. The 3-2 pitch again fouled back. You get the feeling that everybody associated with the game is holding their breath. Holding their breath with their fingers crossed.
Yeah, both fingers crossed, and their toes as well. Up the middle. Gates has got it. Throw to first. And dug out by Neal. Good play all around. So Hammer is retired 4-3. That'll bring up Felix Jose. Well, Felix has hit 2 home runs in this series, and they came to back-to-back at bats. This one, his first swing of yesterday's game. It came in the second inning, a solo home run. And of course, Felix ended the game on Tuesday night with a 2-run homer in the 9th inning.
Both of those home runs have come on low pitches. Let's see if Bobby Witt attacks him up in the strike zone here today.
Jose, quite a series. 5 for 8 with those 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. Strike 1 to Felix Jose. Felix now hitting .289 with 5 home runs, 31 RBIs. And it's interesting that Hal McRae, the manager, was telling me just before the start of this series that Felix had not found his home run stroke. Well, I think he has found it. Just on the outside part of the plate, and quickly 2 strikes on Felix Jose.
We could have a good time with our radar gun here this afternoon. Both of these right-handers run it up there pretty well, and Bobby Witt has been impressive with his velocity so far today. 92 miles an hour, and the speed of the pitch is brought to you by Express Mail. We deliver for you.
Jose trying to deliver here. Witt trying to get him to chase something upstairs, and a ball and 2 strikes. One of the things Witt has done well, and we talk a lot about his control problems, but so far in this game he has gotten ahead of each of the Royals batters.
How much has that turned around David Cohn's season from a year ago? And how much has it hurt a Kevin Apier from what we have seen the last 2 years and the way he has scuffled through the first basically 3 months of '94.
And not only that, Split, but when Cohn now gets ahead of the batters, he puts them away quickly. Doesn't always go for the strikeout. He lets his defense play behind him. And Apier, we've talked about it quite a bit this year, a lot of times maybe gets ahead in the count 1-2 or 0-2, but then goes for the strikeout. The Royals and Bruce Keeson would like him to pitch more like Cohn and let the defense take over.
And these are the types of pitchers you want to keep out there into the late innings. They are the potential leaders on your staff. Bobby Witt led this A's ball club in wins last year with 14. 14 wins on a last place ball club is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. But just 4-7 so far this year. The 2-2 pitch to Felix Jose bounces in front of home plate. Now it's 3-2. So like Bob Hamlin, Felix Jose has come back from a 1-2 count to run the count full. If you're going to vote right now, Split, American League MVP, would you go for Junior, who has 31 home runs and 62 RBIs and a .330 batting average? Or do you go with a guy like maybe Frank Thomas, who's hitting .375 with 27 homers and 60 RBIs?
I think you've got to vote for a player on a team that wins. And neither one of those guys are on teams that are leading their division right now. So you might have to look for somebody on the Cleveland Indians ball club. I mean, what is turning that team around?
Maybe Albert Bell. Was that a swing? Certainly looked out of the strike zone. Now they're saying, yeah, Felix went around. So Felix Jose becomes Bobby Witt's first strikeout victim.
What about a Paul O'Neill with the New York Yankees? The Yankees with the second best record in baseball.
What about Will Clark of Texas? Their club's in first place right now, albeit they're 6 games under 500. Gary Gaetti, the batter. What about a David Cohn or a Jimmy Key? Gaetti 1 for 8 in the series.
I know who I've got for my 3 starters in the All-Star game for the American League. Any order you want to send them out there.
All right.
Jimmy Key, David Cohn, Randy Johnson.
Oh, pretty good trio. Johnson's really turned his year around too.
David Cohn second in the league in shutouts. He has 3 and Randy Johnson has 4. And the Royals have been very fortunate to miss him so far this year.
Absolutely. A ball and a strike to Gary Gaetti. You would have to say Greg Maddux would be the starter for the National League, wouldn't you? Boy, he has had some kind of year.
He is impressive. There is a pitcher.
Yeah, I should say. Right now, the odds-on favorite to win the Cy Young in the National League. 3 balls and a strike to Gary Gaetti. 2 gone for the Royals. We're in the second. 1-0 A's. Strike 2. Now 3 balls and 2 strikes. Gaetti 7 for 34 lifetime against Witt. That's a .206 average. Swing and a miss. Second straight strikeout.
Due to time constraints, we'll take you to the top of the third inning.
So far, Bobby Witt has been mighty tough on the Royals. He has struck out 2. He's not allowed a hit. Brent Mayne, first time he's played in this series. Well, he did catch an inning as a defensive replacement for Mike McFarland when Mac went out for a pinch runner in the first game of this series, but first time at bat. And a breaking ball over for a strike. That has been Witt's game plan so far. Get ahead of the Royals hitters with his breaking ball. And then come in with a high fastball. Brent is hitless in his last 5 at bats. There's the breaking ball inside and low, ball 1. But Mayne has raised his batting average from 194 to where it is now 239. He had a 7-game hitting streak going. A little bit high, 2-1.
Brent Mayne 5 or 6 weeks ago voiced a complaint about lack of playing time, as you would expect a young player to do when he feels he could be an everyday player, but looks like he's settling in very well as a backup catcher, taking the playing time that he gets and making the most of his opportunities.
Into right center field, tracking it is Sierra, and he makes the grab. Good catch by Ruben Sierra. Mayne hit it well.
Good play all the way around. Bobby Witt made a good pitch, a breaking ball down and on the outer half. Mayne tracked it well. He unloaded a line drive to right center field. The A's had their outfield position pretty well, giving Mayne the right field corner, trying to take away both left center field and right center field, and they got it done.
That's where scouting pays off. Now Greg Gagne. Gagne hitting .281. Greg has struggled in this series so far, 0 for 8. And the fastball over for a strike. And against Bobby Witt, Greg just 5 for 40 lifetime, a 125 average, but one of those 5 hits a home run. Swing and a miss. And Gagne down on the count, 0-2. You know, the Royals now at 5 games over 500, the high water mark of the year for KC. 5.5 back of Cleveland. Just 2 games in the American League today. This one, and Chicago is at Seattle tonight. In the National League, just 2 games. Both of them have been completed. Chicago has defeated Florida 9-3, and Cincinnati a 7-5 winner over San Francisco. Third strikeout victim, Greg Gagne.
Bobby Witt is now throwing strikes with several different pitches. Here's the strikeout on the breaking ball. Been able to move the fastball around so far here this afternoon. Let's take a look at the Royals' next homestand, brought to you by Home Quarters, where it's HQ to the rescue. Not going to take place for a while, not until the 1st of July will the Royals return to Kauffman Stadium. The Blue Jays will be in for a 4-game set, and then they will finish out that week with a 3-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. And it's back on the road for 3 games in Toronto, and then the All-Star break, and the first half of the season will be over.
Chico leans the batter. The count is 1-1. What's happened to Toronto, the 2-time world champions? The Blue Jays 11 back of New York in the Eastern Division, and Toronto has lost 5 straight.
Dave, I don't think there's any question that the Blue Jays have all kinds of talent, but even when you have talent, you've got to play well. They are not playing well as a team, although we've got some guys having pretty good years overall, but not team-wise.
Says a lot about the role of the stopper too, doesn't it? They have played the year without Dwayne Ward, their stopper, and they have struggled.
Pitching staff is in disarray right now.
And Carlos Delgado, the hitting sensation for them, the rookie left fielder, has been sent back to the minor leagues, and he has returned to his original position of catcher. 1-2 pitch got him looking. 4 strikeouts already for Bobby Witt.
Due to time constraints, we'll skip ahead to the top of the 4th inning.
And he's ahead of Coleman. If you look at this lineup the Royals have out there today against Bobby Witt, and he has mastered them throughout his career, at least in the strikeout department. Brian McRae has 18 at bats against him. He has struck out 7 times. Joyner strikes out about 1 out of 3 at bats as Vince fouls this ball back, trying to get the bunt down. Felix Jose has 6 strikeouts in 11 at bats against Witt in his career. Gary Gaetti 8 strikeouts and 34 at bats. So Witt has had some success against all of the Royals hitters, at least the ones in the middle part of the batting order. Witt has always been a strikeout pitcher. He's also always given up a lot of walks throughout his career, but hasn't given up anything here so far this afternoon. Mentioned that last year he led his team in wins with 14. Put a great finish on the season. He went 5-1 in the month of September, and 2 of those wins were back-to-back wins against Jack McDowell of the White Sox and Kevin Appier of the Royals. 2 of the finalists in the Cy Young Award balloting. Coleman goes down on the breaking ball. And Bobby Witt has now struck out 3 straight and 5 out of the last 6. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Royals Television Network. Brian McRae now the hitter. He lined out to left field his first time in. Nice running catch by Rickey Henderson out there to retire Brian back in the first. Brian's still having a good series. He's 4 for 10. And over the top of the breaking ball. It's no balls and 2 strikes. Bobby Witt coming into today's game had allowed 150 base runners in just 86 innings pitched. Royals still looking for their first here this afternoon. I think I've jinxed him enough.
You're working at it pretty hard, Split. It's not working though.
There's a full court press and then there's real pressure.
Man. You can hear your broadcast right now and say, hey, lay off me, lefty. I'm working hard out here going for the no-hitter.
A ball and 2 strikes on McRae. Royals have won the first 2 games of this series. They lead the season series against the A's 3-2. Royals had trouble against Western Division ball clubs earlier this year, but they're now 15-11 against Western teams. Western Division now a combined 45 games under 500.
It's embarrassing almost.
Rangers 6 games under. The Seattle Mariners are 8 games under 500. California 11, and the Oakland A's now 20 games under 500.
Now, Oakland's just 7 back. Oakland at 25-45, just 7 games behind Texas in the Western Division. They are not by any stretch of the imagination out of the race.
Their position's not much different from Kansas City's. The Royals are 5 games over 500. Their best mark of the season, they're 5.5 games back, and as you mentioned, the A's are 7 games back. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Got him on a breaking ball. And the scary part of this right now for the Royals is the number of pitches that they're swinging on that are well out of the strike zone.
This one bouncing near the back foot. Can't lay off. Obviously, he's got good stuff going.
Now a half a dozen strikeouts in the ball game for Witt, and 4 straight. Well, the Royals have a pitcher in the ball game today that figures to hold the score down. Need to stay close to Bobby Witt here the way he's throwing today. Wally Joyner grounded out his first time in. Wally with 3 RBIs in the series so far. That ball should be out of reach for Paquette, the third baseman. It's down near the A's bullpen. Oakland in the middle of a 9-game homestand. This closes out the first 3-game series. The Tigers will be in town starting a 3-game set here tomorrow night, and the Angels will finish out the 9-game stand next week. The Royals are on their way to Minnesota after today's game. They'll play a 4-game set in the Twin Cities over the weekend. They'll finish up this 10-game homestand with a 3-game series in Chicago Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. Wally hit the ball hard here last night. His double was off the center field fence. And he's down on strike. So the Royals fail to get it in play here in the 4th inning. Good offensive player in the minor leagues, but unable to convert it to the major league level. But this is a new career for him over here in the American League. You know, his total games played at this level was 115 coming into this season. 115 games played. He's 29 years old. He's already played in 64 this season with the A's. So he may have found a home. 1 for 1 here this afternoon against David Cone. It's a ball and a strike against him.
Speaking of finding a home, how about the A's? They are up for sale right now.
Fairly well hit to left center field. Brian McRae on the run, but plenty of room to haul it down.
The A's owners are looking for somebody to buy this team for $95 million if you keep it in Oakland. If not, the price will go up.
Roy Neal bats now with nobody on, 1 out. He struck out his first time up, his first game since coming off the disabled list. Spent time on the list with a fracture in his right hand. Look at his numbers here at the Coliseum. Neal out of Texas A&M University.
I'm a little bit surprised that the A's haven't been able to find an owner. You would think that price tag of $95 million pretty reasonable by today's standards. What did the Orioles go for? About $170 million?
They've got a little bit better situation. They have no neighbor all that close right now in a brand new ballpark. I
well,
think the
obviously they have
here.
a better situation. I mean, you got one going for 170 and the other one 95. Obviously that's a better situation, but still, especially with the possibility of revenue sharing and the possibility of maybe some salary cap, you would think this franchise would be worth a lot more than $95 million. But the owners here trying to keep the team in Oakland have lowered the price.
Tony La Russa has done a pretty good job with this ball club. He has seen them form a mini dynasty with their work in the late 80s, early 90s, but trying to bounce out of their last place finish a year ago. Bordick takes a breaking ball in there for call strike 1. Bordick popped up his first time up. 2 for 2 here last night. And a great hitter lifetime against the Royals. Part of the problem might be his open stance. There aren't a lot of hitters in the league that hit like he does. And while you work to your catcher and pick up that glove, you also use the hitter as a target. And his stance pretty well takes him out of the picture. David Cone, 2nd in the league in wins. He has 10. 1st in the league in ERA. 1st in the league in batting average against. Opponents are hitting .192 against David Cone so far this year. Think he'll be playing over the All-Star break?
I think so. We need to get a
Got
new
him
picture.
swinging. Bob Hamlin homered in game 2 of this series. Grounded out his first time up here today. Hammer now 1 for 7 in the series. Hamlin came in hitting .250. And at the stage of the season where he's going to have to start making some adjustments because it looks like pitchers have adjusted to him. Skied, it'll stay in the infield. Gagne had trouble with that ball earlier in the game. Let's see how Bordick does. Able to make the play. 1 out in the 5th. It was not an easy one.
Boy, that is a tough sun out there. You can tell when the fielder, the reason he's got the glove up like that is to shade his eyes. He's looking kind of through the glove, using the glove as a shadow so he can try to shade the sun away from his eyes in addition to the sunglasses.
Dave, did you notice how he was able to play it off to his side, catching the ball over to his side? And that's what I mentioned earlier, trying to play the ball out of the sun. Now here's Felix Jose. He's hit the ball hard here the last couple days. Didn't hit it his first time up against Witt. Felix now working on a 5-game hitting streak.
You know, the Royals over the last 4 games had a .317 team batting average over the last 4. In 2 of those 4 they have scored in double digits. The Royals have scored in double figures 10 times this year. But boy, so far Bobby Witt, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Look at that line. 7 strikeouts over 4 1/3 innings.
Witt came in with an earned run average of better than 6 points. Doing a lot to help himself here today. Jose still not getting a lot of at-bats right-handed. Dave Henderson has drawn some assignments when the opponents go to a left-handed starter. Swinging the bat well from this side of the plate.
Cal McRae, though, at one point had decided to sit him down when he was batting from the right side, but that has changed. He said now he feels like Felix has got a better idea right-handed, and he will be his everyday right fielder. The only time now he'll get a day off is just to have a day off, but not because he's batting from the right side.
Jose able to check his swing in time. Royals will travel immediately after today's game. They start a 4-game series in Minneapolis tomorrow night. Again skied left side. Drifting in is Rickey Henderson. He's battling the sun as well. He records the second out.
Let's take a look at our baseball trivia question today, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. What Hall of Famer won the Triple Crown for Cincinnati in 1966? If you know the answer to that one, give us a call. 1-800-498-4SWA. The first to call with the correct response will get a copy of George Brett's book, plus qualify you for a Royals road trip, all courtesy of Southwest Airlines. Fly Southwest. It's just plain smart.
Bobby Witt has been the show here this afternoon. He's retired 14 straight as Gary Gaetti stands in. Gaetti struck out his first time up. Gaetti now just 1 for 9 in this series. Gaetti has never homered against Witt. He's 7 for 35 lifetime. And Witt has been touched up for 19 home runs already this year. Witt is a fly ball pitcher, but gets the ground ball here. And again, the Royals are out in order. Tony has now retired 8 straight of his own. He's had good stuff here throughout this afternoon.
Yeah, you really think back to that first inning split when he gave up the 1 run on 3 hits. Javier lucky to get it just inside the line. In fact, I think it hit the line just past first base, so he gets the double. Gates gets the infield single, and then Baroa with the little looper into right field, sort of a check swing and a high fastball. And then Paquette with the double. It was a pop-up, as you mentioned, to Gagne, who couldn't track it down out of the sun. So Coney's been almost perfect today.
The way this afternoon's game has gone, you would think this is a flashback to last year, where Cone got absolutely no offensive support. And he gets Paquette on 3 pitches. 7 strikeouts in the game for Cone.
This year the Royals have supported him with almost 5 runs a game, Cone, but so far here today, nary a hit or a walk or anything.
Scott Heeman's numbers career-wise against Kansas City pitching. 0 for 1 here today and 0 for 4 in the series. Heeman, one of those versatile players on this A's roster, getting the start behind the plate, giving Terry Steinbach the day off today. He's also played some at third base. He can also work in the outfield.
You came close to a few no-hitters in your career, 3 one-hitters. At what point did you realistically start to think, well, I got a shot?
One of them came against the A's. I knew I didn't have a shot in the first inning when I gave up my first one. Finished out well in that one, and that was a memorable one because the A's were in their heyday with their championship ball clubs. Longest I went was 7 2/3 against Milwaukee. Had a feeling in about the 6th that I had pretty good stuff and might have a chance to get it done.
Is Witt thinking about it now, do you think, or is it still too early?
He is aware that he's in position. He's got to love the stuff that he's working with today. Very much aware of it, and I'm sure his teammates are as well. David Cone continues to pitch very effectively for Kansas City. He's working with fastball slider. Have not seen a lot of the split finger pitch so far today.
Well, the Royals had 4 pitchers combined for a 1-hitter here Tuesday night.
No, that was the first time this year that the A's had been shut out. They were the last team in the major leagues to get shut out.
Yep. It's amazing.
They got it off to a very slow start.
Royals pitchers were giving Mike Magnanti a hard time after Mags gave up the 1 hit in that game.
They would have also given a little bit of a needling to Kevin Appier because he left a no-hitter, but left with an injury. They say Appier may miss a start. He's got a twinge in the high hamstring area. Getting treatment every day. Still has not done a bullpen since his start in game 1 of this series.
Let's see, Apier's got the shades on today too.
That's the go look for sure. Breaking ball got him looking. The sharp slider locked up Heeman. He's the second out of the inning, and Cone now with 8 strikeouts of his own. Well, we mentioned it might not be a good day for the hitters. So far it hasn't been.
The batter, left fielder,
this is a pitcher's duel deluxe.
It sure is.
The A's have not had a base runner since back in the second.
Well, Coney closing in on a high water mark for him as far as strikeouts is concerned. He had 10 against Seattle on the 17th of May. That's the most he's had this year. The most he has had in his career in one game. He struck out 19 Phillies while he was with the Mets in '91.
And Cone looks like he's working easy here this afternoon. Comes the 1-0 pitch. Rickey had a cut and fouled it straight back. When you think Rickey Henderson, you think stolen bases. You also think about leadoff home runs to open the ball game. You know, last year he led off for a home run in both ends of a doubleheader. Happened in July a year ago. Not only the first game, but backed it up in the second game as well. A little bit surprised to see Rickey play here this afternoon against Cone. He took game 1 and 2 off with the sore back. I figure against a tough right-hander, you wouldn't be too anxious to get in there today either. The 1-2 pitch, and he plunked in. So Rickey Henderson hit by the pitch. He's on with 2 outs. Henderson with the short lead. He's not going anywhere. And Javier, after the first pitch, lost a fly ball to left field. It's deep. It's gone. David Cone can't believe it.
This is the kind of hit where the pitchers talk about a juiced ball theory. Javier, though, now with 10 home runs this year.
Looks like he just guides this pitch out of here. Just reaches out and hits it where it is pitched. The ball carries a lot better here in the daytime than it does at night. And that ball made it into the first row. So the A's are now on top 3-0. 2-run home run by Stan Javier. And here's Brent Gates. Stairs ball 1. Gates is 1 for 2. He singled back in the first. That is Stan Javier's first home run in this ballpark this year. And Javier now with his 24th multiple hit game of the season. He leads his club in that department. David Cone has been shaken by the 2-run home run. Cone had retired 12 straight. Now another line drive to center field. It's going to fall in for a base hit. And Brent Gates has a couple of hits here today.
Well, Gates, who had really been struggling, just 1 for his last 18, now with a couple of base hits, an infield single, and that little looper out to center.
The A's really like that kid. He's a youngster, as you mentioned. He was struggling. He's only in his second year, but still batting 3rd in their lineup. And that will bring up Ruben Sierra as the A's extend their inning. He's on at first base with 2 outs. Sierra 0 for 2, but he has an RBI. It came on a ground ball back in the first. Sierra 7th in the league in RBIs. It's going to be the 3rd out of this inning. The Royals finally get out of it, but the A's do a little bit more damage. Witt has struck out 7 so far. He has not walked a Royals hitter yet. The Royals still looking for their first hit. Brett Maine hit the ball hard his first time up. Line to drive into the gap in right center field, but Ruben Sierra ran it down. Good fastball on the outside edge, and Bobby Witt has stayed ahead of Kansas City hitters all afternoon.
Remember, though, Witt does tend to give up the big inning.
You talk about the A's and Witt giving up the big inning. They have blown leads of 3 or more 7 times already this year. They have a 3-run lead right now.
You remember when we were here last year and the A's had an 8, or the Royals had an 8-0 lead once upon a time, and the Royals gave up the lead, gave up that contest. Maybe the Royals, certainly not trailing by 8, can turn the tide here today.
Chris Haney was the starter in that ball game, and Craig Paquette had the big hit. Breaking ball misses.
You remember what he hit?
I remember he hit it to left center field.
I was going to say, you probably slider outside of the knees. Figured you'd remember.
Bobby Witt has been in command throughout. Chopper. Bordick charges near the bag at second. He's able to make the play. Bordick got a great jump on that ball. Looked like it had a chance to maybe get up the middle and into center field, but he got there in a hurry.
Pretty solid little shortstop, isn't he? Pretty high chopper too, and that allowed Bordick a little bit more time to get to it.
Walt Weiss was the everyday shortstop here in Oakland before Bordick. He was held down by injuries a little bit. He was not protected in the expansion draft. He ended up going to the Florida Marlins. And the A's didn't have to protect him because they had Bordick waiting in the wings. He was a backup player at the time. Here's the Royals shortstop, Greg Gagne. Gagne has had his problems in his career against Witt. Just 5 for 41 and 14 strikeouts in that time. Gag's now hitting .280, having another solid season, although he's not happy with his defensive play. Bunts down, and it's a good one. He's got a chance to beat it out. It's a foot race with Witt, and safe at first base. Witt thought he beat him, and letting the umpire know about it.
I guarantee you this reaction is more than you would normally have, and Witt very well aware that he had the no-hitter going. And he's thinking to himself, boy, if I'm going to lose a no-hitter, please, please, please not on this play.
Gary Cederstrom, the first base umpire. Troy Neal made a nice play. He got to the ball in a hurry, unloaded quickly to Witt, gave him a good toss.
See which foot gets to the bag first. Boy, on that replay there, it looked like Witt got there first. Watch the foot. Yeah.
Well, that will go as a base hit for Gagne. No other way to call it.
But he is very well aware that he had the no-hitter going. In fact, the perfect game going. And loses it on a bunt single. And now you wonder if Witt's concentration might be broken just a little bit by that.
Well, you have to hope for that if you're the Royals, because he has been in command, basically because he has had command of his pitches today. Good stuff and throwing strikes. Chico's now 3 for 8 in the series, working with a 3-game hitting streak. Breaking ball is popped up right side. In comes Sierra. The call and the catch. Sierra didn't call that until late. It was Gates chasing it out there until he heard the outfielder.
That's the way this should be played. The second baseman, he's got to go for it till he hears, I got it, I got it. And then he quickly exits.
So back to the top of the order we go now with 2 outs, and here's Vince Coleman. His ground ball was to the first baseman to open the ball game. This is just the 5th time in his career that he has faced Witt. Gagne with a very short lead at first base, but Witt keeping an eye on him. Paquette in tight at third base. He's on the grass. The A's shallow and playing the opposite way in their outfield. And a high fastball is thrown by Coleman. The league was hitting .293 when this game started against Witt. He's had things his way so far. The 0-1, make it 0-2.
Well, if Witt continues the way he has throughout this game, and does finish this contest with that one hitter, I'd feel bad for him. I really would, because it looked like he did beat Greg Gagnon to the bag. Now the hope here is that the Royals will go beyond all this and come back and win this contest.
Tell you, Dave, back in 1990, David Witt won 17 ball games. He lost 10. He had a 3.36 earned run average, and it looked like he was for real at that time. He had improved his control. He had great stuff, and it looked like he was going to be a perennial 20-game winner. It has not worked out for him well. He had some arm injuries the next year. He's been right at .500 throughout his career. Texas 1992, he went 9-13. 14-13 here last year with the A's. Now remember, that was the last place ball club. He did pitch pretty well. But it looked like back in 1990 that we would see a lot of ball games just like this out of Witt. One on, two out. We're in the Royals half of the sixth. Visitors are trailing it by 3. That's Coleman hitting much better from the other side of the plate. Low 200s from this side. Mid 280s from the other side. This is the final game of the 3-game series. The Royals have won the first 2. The A's had a 6-game winning streak when they came home. They were looking for big things as they have crawled their way back into the Western Division race. On the outside corner, caught him looking. Another strikeout for Witt. He has 8 in the game so far. Geronimo Baroja will lead off for the A's here in the 6th inning. He'll be followed by Neal and Bordick. David Cohn allowed a run back in the 1st inning. He allowed a 2-run homer to Stan Javier in the 5th. That is the scoring so far. Breaking ball is chopped on the ground, foul wide of third base. Baroja, the DH here this afternoon. Started game 1 of the series in left field, was the DH here last night. Eric Fox played center field. Javier moved over to left. Baroja goes after the high fastball. He's a strikeout victim to lead off the 6th. And for David Cohn, that is strikeout number 9 in the ballgame. Baroja now 1 for 3 today's game. David Cohn hoping he has not given up too many runs here this afternoon, and hoping his club can come back in the final 3 innings. Here's Troy Neal. Just off the disabled list today, is yet to put it in play. Struck out swinging both in the 1st and the 4th innings. Neal, like Baroja, is a DH type. While he can play first base, they suffer a little bit defensively with Mark McGwire not in there. This guy is an offensive power. 8 home runs so far, 29 RBIs. He also has 9 doubles. David Cohn has been outstanding. Unfortunately, he's been outshadowed by Bobby Witt. Good slider. It's now 2 strikes on Neal. For David Cohn, this is start number 15. Of his 14 starts, 9 of them have been quality jobs. On the ground to Joyner. It's a Cohn covering. They threw him out by about 40 feet.
And the first base umpire, Gary Cederstrom, hearing it from the crowd here in Oakland after making that call at first. But that wasn't even close, but the fans just waiting for an opportunity to get on Cederstrom.
Here's a look at the Arby's RBI leaders, brought to you by Arby's, where different is good. And the RBI leaders in the American League: Will Clark, Jose Canseco, and Kirby Puckett on a torrid pace with Joe Carter right behind him. And Junior has 62. Needs to pick it up a little bit to get back in the race. Jeff Bagwell having a huge year for the Astros. Mike Piazza right there at the top with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Piazza, a good all-around player now. Former National League Rookie of the Year. Mike Bordick's now the hitter. See his numbers so far today. There's a good curveball. David Cone has not worked less than 7 innings in any of his last 11 starts. He looks like he is back on track. Has not used many pitches here this afternoon. Pulled the string there, and Bordick out in front of it. Mike Bordick has given the Royals troubles over the last 3 years. Pretty good high ball hitter. Home with the sidearm breaking ball, misses outside. The Royals no runs on 1 hit. The A's 3 runs on a half a dozen knocks. Skied to center field. Gray drifts over to the alley. Makes the grab, and the A's out in order in the 6th inning.
Witt has allowed just 1 base runner. Greg Gagne, a bunt single. Tough play for Gates. Long throw, got him. And the A's have been playing good defense behind Bobby Witt.
Good defense, and Gates quick off the mark. Watch the play here and the depth that he was playing. He was playing halfway against Brian McRae, trying to take away the bunt on the right side. Just a few steps behind the bag. Nice play defensively by Gates.
And that brings up Wally Joyner. Joyner 0 for 2. He struck out his last time up. Witt had a strikeout string going in innings 2, 3, and 4. He struck out 2 in the 2nd, 2 more in the 3rd, and struck out the side in the 4th. 7 strikeouts in just 3 innings. He struck out 7 of the 9 that he faced in those 3. Joyner lifts this one high into shallow center field. Javier, the shades down, fighting the sun, makes the grab. Too quickly gone in the 7th. And that brings up the hammer, Bob Hamlin.
Designated hitter, Bob Hamlin.
Well, as the hammer comes out, I guess it serves as a reminder that Bobby Witt has had all his tools working today. Ball 1 below the knees. The Royals have not been able to figure out Bobby Witt. You might say he has outwitted them. Two balls, no strikes to Bob Hamlin. The hammer had a 2-run homer here last night. Swing and a miss, 2-1. Boy, 2-0. I think that's the best count the Royals have had all day today.
That was one of the keys in the ballgame. Work the count against Witt, try to get some favorable hitters counts. For the most part, it has not happened. He has not allowed it to happen.
Breaking ball. Hammer badly fooled. 2-2 with 2 outs, nobody on for the Royals in the 7th. David Cone has pitched a masterful game as well. A 2-run homer to Stan Javier, his big mistake. Cone has given up 3 runs on 6 hits. Swing and a miss, he got it. 9 strikeouts now for Bobby Witt. The Royals retired in order again. They have gone in order in 6 of 7 innings. Dan Belindo is coming on in relief of David Cone to face Craig Paquette. Craig hit a double in the 2nd inning. A high pop-up to Greg Gagne, the shortstop. He lost it in the sun. Never touched it. This one on the ground to Gaetti. Nice play by Gary across the diamond in time. So Belinda comes in, 1 pitch, 1 gone. Belinda came on in relief in the game here on Tuesday night and struck out 3 without giving up a hit in 2 innings of work.
Belinda probably had the best stuff that I have seen him have since he came over to Kansas City. A good fastball, it had sinking movement on it, and command of his breaking ball as well.
Now he faces Scott Heeman. Heeman has not put a bat on the ball yet today. and 0 for 5 in the series. Breaking ball over for a strike. The Royals trying to win their 4th straight, trying to pull to within 5 of front-running Cleveland in the Central Division. Well, right now the Royals on the tail end of a 3-0 score. Breaking ball ripped foul, and the count quickly 0-2 on Scott Heeman. Cone had thrown 102 pitches in today's game, but he was going out there warming up for the 7th. The pitch count not the problem, as you mentioned, Split. The Royals did not have anybody warming up in the bullpen. And we're getting word from the clubhouse and from our truck that there appears to be some sort of a spasm in the pitching shoulder of David Cone. That is not good news. Stan Belinda strikes out Scott Heeman. 2 quickly gone here in the 7th. Heeman strikes out for the 3rd time today. That'll bring up Rickey Henderson. Henderson was hit by a pitch his last time up and was aboard for Stan Javier's 10th home run. Henderson 0 for 2 officially. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Boy, wouldn't this be something? Come to Oakland, and Kevin Appier, who goes down with a high hamstring pull in his start after working into the 3rd inning on Tuesday night. And now David Cone, who was pitching brilliantly. And word of a possible shoulder injury for Cone. When you lose your top 2 starters in one series, that's pretty tough. Breaking ball down low, 2-1 now to Henderson. Rickey hitting just .260 on the year. This one hit high and deep to left center field, but there is room for Vince Coleman in front of the warning track. He makes the grab. Felix Jose will lead off the 8th inning. He'll be followed by Gary Gaetti and Brent Mayne. And the pitch missing outside, ball 1. Jose 0 for 2. He struck out in the 2nd and flew out to left field in the 5th. Breaking ball over for a strike. Count evens up at 1-1. So the official word now from the clubhouse of the Royals: tightness in the back of the right shoulder for David Cone. The right shoulder, obviously his pitching shoulder. We hope it is nothing serious and that Cone will not miss any time. Appier perhaps will miss his next start, and the Royals are hopeful that that may be it, and he may even be available for his next start, depending on treatment over the next couple of days. And coming into this series split, Jeff Montgomery was unavailable for duty because of a cortisone shot in his shoulder, his pitching shoulder. So all of a sudden the Royals pitching staff really being hit hard. Number 1 and 2 starters and your stopper, Jeff Montgomery.
Things are going very well for Jeff Montgomery. He's expected to take the day off tomorrow and available for duty on Saturday, but you've got to wonder about the availability for Appier his next time out. Wouldn't think too many things would be wrong with David Cone the way he threw the ball today.
Yeah, that's the hope anyway. And boy, the Royals in a stretch right now where the days off are few and far between. The Royals hoping to limp in now towards the All-Star break. The 3-2 pitch to Felix Jose. Swing and a miss. The 10th strikeout for Bobby Witt.
He continues to make good pitches, not only with his fastball but also his breaking ball. There's a pitch that stays on the outside part of the plate. And plenty of dive left on this one.
That's a tough pitch on 3-2. And now Gary Gaetti. And you got to believe that Witt's thoughts a little bit are to that bunt single that Gagne beat out at first base in a very controversial call by Gary Cederstrom. Gaetti squaring to bunt, bringing Paquette in from third.
Yeah, you hope he really starts to boil over there at about now and starts making a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard not to think about it, because according to the 3 different looks that we had on that, it looked very much like Witt beat Greg Gagne to the bag. Witt has been throwing in the low 90s all day and still throwing 91 according to our radar gun. The 1-1 pitch to Gaetti. He checked in time, or did he? No, they call it a strike. 1-2. They say he fouled it off. So a ball and 2 strikes. Well, this is a day, if you're a Royals batter, you just got to tip your cap to Bobby Witt. He has been on target all day long. 1-2 pitch, breaking outside. And the count evens up at 2-2 as we pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Royals Baseball Network. Again, Gaetti fouls it off at the plate. The 2-2 pitch to Gaetti. Did not check in time. And he fouled it off again, just catching a piece of the bat. And Gaetti becomes the 11th strikeout victim for Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt's got it all going. Plenty of velocity to throw the ball by hitters out of the strike zone upstairs, getting the breaking ball over and working the ball inside corner and outside corner as well.
Well, Witt has 6 career shutouts. His strikeout high is 14. That came way back in 1986. And that came against the Detroit Tigers. Brent Mayne now the batter. He looks at strike 1. Mayne now the only batter in the Royals lineup that has not struck out today.
Boy, just hard to figure out this game. Bobby Witt averages less than 6 innings per outing. His earned run average over 6 points per game. 19 home runs allowed on the season coming into today. And he's pitching like Cy Young against the Royals.
Cy Young, Bob Feller, Nolan Ryan,
Bob Gibson, just keep naming them.
all rolled into one. And now Witt trying to strike out the side for the 2nd time here today. 0-2 on Brent Mayne. In the dirt, ball 1. This is the 2nd start for Witt against the Royals at the Coliseum. Last September, he defeated Kevin Apier in the Royals 2-1. He won 8 innings in that game, giving up just the 1 run on 5 hits. Swing and a foul into the crowd. Mayne stays alive at a ball and 2 strikes. With 2 out, nobody on for the Royals in the 8th inning. And right now it would appear that the run the A's pushed across the plate in the 1st inning might be all that Bobby Witt needed today. The A's got their insurance in the 5th and a 2-run homer from Stan Javier. Again fouled back by Mayne.
You have to wonder how the ball game changes without that 2-run home run, because when you're in a 1-run game, all you need is a base runner. You take some strikes, hopefully get a walk out of Witt, coax a base runner some way, and then try to move him around. But when it's a 3-run gap, you've got to play it a little bit differently. Look to get several men on base and hope for a long ball.
Swing and a miss. Now everyone in the Royals lineup has struck out, and Witt strikes out the side for the 2nd time. He's got 12 in the game. Royals trailing 3-0. If you're looking ahead to the Royals 9th, the scheduled batters are Greg Gagne, Chico Lean, and Vince Coleman. And if you're thinking, well, boy, you'd like to have the middle of the order up, when you're trailing by 3, you'd rather have that part of your order up to set the table for the big bombers like Joyner, Hamlin, and Jose, and Gaetti. But it's going to be a hard table to set the way Bobby Witt has been throwing here today. 2 balls and a strike to Stan Javier. Like Bobby Witt, when he was with Texas, he probably saw a no-hitter or two from Nolan Ryan. So he's got to know the feeling. He had the chance at the no-hitter. In fact, the chance at the perfect game until Greg Gagney's bunt single in the 6th inning.
One of Ryan's no-hitters was in this ballpark.
That was just his 6th in his career. Well, that's going to be some induction ceremony into the Hall of Fame when he goes in with George Brett, Robin Yount, maybe Carlton Fisk, maybe Dale Murphy. It's quite a group. Can't all get in, can they?
Going to be a tough vote 5 years from now.
Full count to Stan Javier, the leadoff batter for the A's in the 8th. The Royals this year just 12-28 when they score 5 runs or less. And checked in time on the breaking ball, and Javier with a leadoff walk. So Stan has really been pesky to the Royals today.
Billy Brewer is warming down the Royals bullpen, working behind Stan Belinda, and I don't think Hal McRae would let Belinda get in too much trouble with all these left-handed hitters scheduled to hit in this half inning.
The tip of the cap. Brewer ready to go. Gates is 2 for 3 today. A couple of singles.
A's think that Gates could be a potential batting champion one of these days.
Squaring to bunt, pulls it back, takes a strike. So the A's looking for some more insurance here in the 8th, leading 3-0. Bob Milacki will get the start tomorrow night in Minnesota against Jim Deshaies. Deshaies leads the American League in home runs given up. He has given up 21 home runs. Pitch out, nothing doing. But Bobby Witt had given up 19 home runs coming into today.
Similarity between those guys. They're both high ball pitchers, like to work up in the strike zone. Witt with a whole lot more velocity than Deshaies.
Our broadcast tomorrow night will start at 7 o'clock from the Metrodome. Again, the toss over to first. Javier with not a very big lead. The Royals had high hopes of sweeping the A's. David Cone on the mound today, facing Bobby Witt, who had been struggling lately. But Witt really tough today. There's a line single on the hit and run, and Javier races to third base. Still nobody out in the 8th inning, and the A's have runners at first and third. And Gates 3 for 4 today.
Nice job of hitting by Gates. He didn't do a lot with this swing. It was a controlled swing, just trying to make some contact. The runner is on the move. He just stays with the pitch and shoots it over Gagney's head at shortstop.
And that'll bring up Ruben Sierra. Sierra got an RBI in the first inning and a fielder's choice, scoring Javier with the game's first run. Sierra, though, 0 for 3 in the game and 0 for 10 in the series. Good crowd today. 23,000 plus on hand at the Coliseum. Biggest crowd they've had for this series. Quick toss down to third. Javier back in time.
Belinda left in the ball game to work against Sierra. Sierra, as a left-handed hitter, is hitting just .216 from the right side, .333.
And Geronimo Baroa, right-handed batter, in the on-deck circle. Lifted into left center field. On comes Coleman. He's got it. Javier tagging. Here comes the play at the plate. And safe is Javier, and it's 4-0. Sierra with another RBI. He now has 63 on the year. An accurate and fairly strong throw by Vince Coleman from left field, but Javier with good speed beat the throw easily. Staying at first base on the play, Brent Gates. He is there now with one out, and Geronimo Baroa the batter. Baroa 1 for 3 here today, 1 for 9 in the series. Just outside, ball 1. It looks like right now the Royals are going to head to Minnesota, 6 games behind Cleveland in the Central Division. Swing and a miss. Nice change of speed from Stan Belinda.
Dave, the Royals 21 victories on the road, the most by an American League team, but the Orioles have the best winning percentage on the road. They haven't got as many wins, but they've lost fewer ball games. They're 19-12 on the road so far this year, but both of those clubs playing well on the road and apparently in the race in their division.
Why do you say apparently? I think they are.
Well, the Orioles are in the race. The Orioles still with some people in front of them. They're not exactly on the heels of the leaders.
Well, not on the heels, but they're at least somewhere in the shoe.
And as long as that pitching staff can stay together and the offense fairly consistent from top to bottom, they've got a chance.
2-2 now the count to Geronimo Baroa. This may be, unless Baroa hits into a double play, the last batter that Belinda faces, with the left-handed hitting Troy Neal due up next, and Billy Brewer is warmed up and ready to go in the bullpen. All this is giving Bobby Witt a chance to relax and reflect in the A's dugout. Ooh. Count full now to Geronimo Baroa. Witt probably was looking forward to a quick bottom of the 8th inning, and the way he was throwing after striking out the side in the top of the 8th. He probably wants to get right back out there. The Royals have seen some pretty good pitching performances this year. Inside, ball 4. That'll move Gates down to second. Second walk now issued by Stan Belinda, and it looks like it's going to be it. This will be the first appearance for Brewer in this series. See his numbers across the board, and he'll be facing a pinch batter in Mark McGwire. Breaking ball, sawed off the bat. Gaetti's got it. To second for 1. The relay in time. McGwire, who's just coming off a heel injury, does not run well. So Brewer with 1 pitch gets the double play. We've played 8. It's 4-0 A's on 62 Sports and the Royals Television Network. If not for that safe call by Gary Cedarstrom at first base, Bobby Witt would be looking at a no-hitter. This is Witt's best appearance ever in his career. 3 career 2-hitters. The last time he did that was against Minnesota in 1990. The last time the A's had a 1-hitter was in 1988. And Dave Stewart did it against Seattle. So Greg Gagne comes up, the only base runner for the Royals today. And a strike on the inside part of the plate. Boy, it would be a real shame, Split, to see a pitching performance like this not result in a no-hitter for Bobby Witt with that close play at the plate, or at first base.
Maybe the best thing the Royals can do to take him out of his misery is get a couple of gappers and maybe tie the score, get him out of the ball game, and still get into that A's bullpen. As well as he has thrown here this afternoon, he's got to be pretty pleased. He's had good stuff. He's had great command throughout. And there haven't been a whole lot of good swings against him and very few hard hit balls. Brent Mayne probably had the best drive against him, the line drive to right center field that Sierra ran down.
Witt still throwing 91, 92 miles per hour with his fastball.
And another advantage that he has right here is the comfortable temperatures here in the Bay Area. Even though he doesn't have many pitches, if he was trying to do this last week in Kansas City, he'd have trouble going 9 innings.
66 degrees the temperature at the start of today's game. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Greg Gagne, the leadoff batter for the Royals in the 9th. Chico Lean in the on deck circle. And it would be the top of the order. Gagne stays alive, fouls it back behind home plate.
Royals have done well in coming from behind to win ball games so far this year. You just hope right now they're not too far behind.
Got him looking. 13 strikeouts now for Bobby Witt. Well, all you can say about this is wow.
This is the 4th strikeout looking today, so he has made pitches, gotten ahead in the count. And while the Royals have maybe been looking for some other pitch, they've been fooled quite often.
The 5th straight strikeout for Bobby Witt. And now Chico Lean. Leaned 0 for 2. He struck out looking in the 3rd. Flew out to right field, shallow right field in the 6th. The Royals now down to their last 2 outs. Looks like the Royals are going to have their 3-game winning streak go by the wayside. Fouled off the plate. Now it's 1-2 to Chico Lean. The next strikeout, if he gets it for Witt, would tie his career high. If he does not allow a hit in this inning, it would be a career best 1 hitter. The 1-2 pitch. Just missing outside. It's 2-2. Lean gets a piece of it, grounds it to Gates. 2 gone. And in the mixture of cheers, you can hear the boos here in Oakland. The boos are directed at Gary Cedarstrom, the first base umpire, who called Greg Gagne safe on the bunt single. Cedarstrom might be hoping, too, the Royals come up with another hit here.
Takes the heat off of him a little bit. The umpires, while they know they're going to make mistakes from time to time, they don't want it to have an effect on the at least the outcome of a ball game. And while this probably is not going to affect the outcome, certainly it will have an effect on the overall performance and the credit that Bobby Witt would receive.
Most of the 23,000 on hand here today now on their feet, cheering on Bobby Witt. Vince Coleman 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Fouls it away, and now it's 0-2. And now they'll really be cheering. The 0-2 pitch. Just missed. And it's 1-2.
If he had a no-hitter going, I guarantee you that pitch would have been called a strike.
Witt shaking off Scott Heeman a couple of times. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. In the dirt. Did he go around? No, he did not, according to Chuck Merriweather, the third base umpire. It is safe to say the boys in blue, and I don't mean the Royals, I mean the umpires, are not very popular here in Northern California right now. Especially this guy. A tough call, though. I mean, it was bang bang, and we had to look at it from 3 angles in slow motion.
The good umpires don't want to be a part of the ballgame.
No.
They want to be there to support it. They don't want to be the storyline.
Even the bad umpires weren't there. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. Wow. Bobby Witt. Hats off to you, buddy. Bobby Witt with a one-hit shutout. 4-0. The win for the A's.